I'm building a web app to track social media content, YouTube, social media, and anything that content creator creates, we'll use it to track. And I'm creating it for myself. Eventually, who knows how it's going to grow, but this is a tool that I want to use to make my life a little bit easier. And I want to document the process so you'll get motivated and you get to see the process of building an application. And in the previous video, we looked at the MVP of this app, basically the first version, MVP, minimum viable product. Just wanted to try it out, created something, and I created a video and I showed you that app. And that app focused only on YouTube content, being able to track YouTube videos. But I wanted to grow that app so I can create more content, because usually, like, let's say you have a video on YouTube, you have a related topic that you're going to post on other social media, right? And you want to be able to track that. Well, I want to be able to track that. So I figured I need to grow the app so it can actually manage multiple platforms, and that's what I did. So in this video, we're going to look at the current version of the app, and I'm going to explain how I'm using it, how it works, what are the tech. Well, the tech we already talked about, but we'll revisit, we'll look at the APIs and things like that. So it's going to be an overview of the current state of the application. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. My name is Admas Kunfu. I run supersqa.com. I'm a QA automation engineer. A lot of times when people think of QA, they think we just testers. But when you are an SDET, software engineer in test, you actually have more skills because you're around people that are building software. You are contributing to the process of building software, even though your main focus is on testing. So I know Python a lot. I've been working with Python for over 10 years now. And I like building stuff. I like building frameworks usually. So I figured, why not build a web application? Because now with AI, things like Cursor or Copilot, using Cursor, it's called vibe coding, right? I'm sure you heard of vibe coding, where you're just talking to the AI and the AI is building it. That's how I'm building this. And after this, I'm going to document why I'm building it. Since I already built a certain version of it, I first wanted to create videos going over what I already have. And going forward, after I have one more video like this, but after that, it's going to be more like a live recording, right? Like unedited, just me working. That's really what I want to show you. I want to encourage you to build your own stuff, not only just look for a job, but also try to think of building stuff, because there's a lot of kids out there making a living building stuff. We're actually becoming a millionaire building stuff. So the opportunity is kind of amazing right now. All right, so back to the main topic of the video. So this is what it looked like, right? From compared to the previous one, is on first glance, it looks pretty much the same. We have items. Every content is called an item, right? It can be a video, it can be a text post, it can be a carousel, or an image post, right? So now this is something new. I added a type. So once I have an item, I wanted to, that particular item can be posted in multiple places, right? Especially when it's video. When it's short form video, it can be in TikTok, it can be in YouTube Shorts, it can be in Reels and things like that. So for each item, I wanted to add multiple deployments. So I use the word deployment. Well, the AI came up with that and I kind of like it, but it's more technical. So on the front end, I think I'm going to call it like a post. I'm not really sure. So if you have ideas, in fact, for that, put it in the comments. Like, do you like the word deployment or should I call it post? So the idea is all of those are new. Like the status is recorded. So I just recorded these videos. I'm going to get them edited soon. I just hired an editor. So let's see how that goes. So here, let's say something that's published. If it says finalized, that means it's done. It's ready to be published or maybe even published. So if I hit the drop down here, I see two deployments. So I have YouTube short deployment and a TikTok deployment. So if I want to take the same content and deploy it to something, for example, for Instagram story, I'll click this. I get a form and I'll put the post for the Instagram version of it and everything else. When was it posted? What template I'm using? The template is for how I format the post. Currently it's used for YouTube. I'll show you. So the idea is you have one content and that content is going to be repurposed everywhere else without changing it. If you're changing it, right? Let's say you have a long form video and you cut it into a shorter. Let's say you have a 10-minute video and all of a sudden you get 5, 1-minute videos out of it. That's going to be different. Each one of those should be their own item. But if you're going to take this 10-minute video and if you're going to publish it somewhere else just as it is, that's going to be a deployment. It's the same entity, it's the same item, you're deploying it somewhere else. So that's how I'm looking at it. Is I have that one item here and I have multiple deployments here. Now one thing though, the UI, right? Hopefully you're not like judging me based on the UI. You're not be like, oh, that looks old, that looks like 1999. Yeah, I'm not putting a lot of effort into the UI right now. I just want it to be functional. Later on, I'll try to make it pretty and all of that good stuff, which I'm not good at, but hopefully the AI can help a lot. So don't be bothered by how it looks. It doesn't look too fancy. It doesn't look like the kind of websites you see these days, but it's working. That's the main thing, especially the API. I really care about the API working, because once you have the API, then the front end, you can just keep changing the front end, whatever you want. You can have different versions. The front end is the easier part compared to the API. I think the API needs to work. The front end gets all the data from the API. The front end is just displaying that data. showing that data in a way that you want it, so you can customize it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go into like 10 different iterations of what the front end looks like. All right, so that's the concept. We have each item, and each item has a deployment. Now the deployment is confusing. Like I said, each deployment means each post. So I really want to hear it from you in the comments. Do you like to add the word deployment when you're deploying it to a particular platform, or do you rather use a different terminology for that? All right, so what else is here? Then the new things I added is we added this notes field, to do field. I find myself just having random ideas about that or something that reminds me. So I'm going to put that in the notes, and if there is something to do, I would imagine for most finalized ones there wouldn't be anything to do, but something that's like already recorded, I can add something to do, like to remind myself to add something in the recording, or some background image, some music, or something like that, right? So to do items. What else? So when we create a new content here, this form changed a little bit. We're going to give it a title. That's going to be like an internal title. It's going to be a type, what kind of video or carousel or test post is. So when it comes to carousel, guys, the next video is going to be about carousel. So I'm implementing something that I think you're going to like. I can't wait to see it working. I haven't tested it yet. I'm just working on it, but something to make it easy to create carousels. Carousels are like those like on TikTok where you get individual images and you just swipe. On LinkedIn, I think usually it's going to be LinkedIn, TikTok, and IG, I believe. I'm not a big IG user yet. So the next video I'm going to talk about that. This app is going to be content generator, and of course the idea is to integrate it with AI and a lot of the stuff, to the application to do stuff using AI, but that's like next level, not yet. Okay, so the types here, the duration, based on the duration it would mark it as long or short. So 3 minutes or under is considered short on YouTube. So that's how I've configured this. Anything that I put here in seconds, anything under 180 seconds, 3 minutes, is going to be marked as short. Then we have the notes, the to do, we have the hashtags. I talked about it. This example is not wrong, so this is like a bug that we got to be fixed. The hashtags are going to be something, comma, something, comma, something. And later on, this gets converted into an actual description. So let's just say this, like say I'm going to say ABC XYZ. So we can look at it. And this is going to be test post, right? So let's put a draft, let's put a video, and then external links. That's like in the video. I'll talk about what that is in a minute, actually. Then the transcript. Every time I create a video now, I have a Python script that I created myself using Whisper, which is OpenAI's product. You can use OpenAI's API. They have an API, a really cool API that you send it an audio file and will give you a transcript. But the same technology, the same library they're using is open source available. It's called Whisper. So I built my own just Python script. Instead of paying for that API, I just ran it locally. It's a little bit slower, but that's fine. So every time I create a video, basically I generate the transcript and I upload it here. My idea is later on, AI is going to use transcript to basically read everything you have, and it will suggest new topics. It will suggest like which kind of transcripts are performing better than others. So having all this data here now, later on we can analyze that data. That's really one of the points. And I use AI to generate descriptions based on the transcript. So the main reason I transcribe it is that I also upload the transcripts to YouTube when I upload the videos for long form. All right, so let's say we create that. Now we have a new entry here. Now we have an item. Now we need to create a deployment. Where am I deploying this? Let's say this is, in fact, if I edit this guy, so let's do a quick edit, and I'm going to put like 120 seconds, right? 2 minutes. So that's going to show up as being a short. Okay, so now I'm going to say I'm going to deploy it to YouTube Shorts, not YouTube Long, YouTube Shorts. Here, everything I can leave it the same, but the template is for the description format. What do I want the description to be? I'm going to do a default right now. I only have one template. I leave everything blank and I give it a description. This is a sample video just showing how the app works. Thanks. All right, just like that. So I'm creating this deployment. Now the cool part, I want to show you the reason I'm creating this example. This is the main description of the video. This is like the main, like how do you describe the video. Then when I say generate post, this will format that like this. Right? It will give me my promotional links that I want to add into YouTube. This is actually the main reason that motivated me to create this, is I want to be able to change my promotional links. Right now I want to promote my coaching, my one-on-one coaching, but later on in the future I might bring back my bootcamp and I might have a bootcamp link here, right? So now with this app and using the template, all I have to do is just make a bunch of API calls and just update everything, right? Because the description doesn't change. The description is not auto-generated. The description is hard-coded with the deployment. Then the promotional links up here, promotional links down here. There should have been hashtags here. I feel like, so now I see that there's bugs, or I didn't add them correctly. So that's something I will fix in the future. So I will create the description like this. I'll copy paste this and put it into YouTube. Later on, I'm going to have literally a button here that will just publish to YouTube. right? Using the API. That's actually pretty simple. I have a theory that YouTube, like your video doesn't perform as good when you manually publish it versus when you publish it with the API. There's no data, but I feel that way, so I gotta collect some data if that's true or not. So that's how the app works. That's the front end. That's really how a content creator would use it. Somebody like me, somebody who's more serious. Like the whole point is I want to be more serious. I want to create a lot more content. So you basically create your item, you put it into some kind of status, and you keep as it's been edited, as it's been published, you can just change this and you deploy it. You have that piece of content, depending on whatever platform you're deploying it to, just select and deploy. So we'll talk about filters and stuff another time, because now this filters, they only filter on an item level. Right? It doesn't filter on the deployment. So I want to create filters for deployment. I want to see all the deployments to Shorts, all the deployments to TikTok. That's not implemented yet. There are some bugs. Like for example, here, the deployments, it shows everything shows 0 until you expand it. When you expand it, this changes. Right? That is a bug. And there's a feature, instead of showing a number, I actually want to show like icons. Where is it deployed to? When I look at this, is it deployed to YouTube, to TikTok? What is it? So I have features like that I want to add. And those kind of features, I'm going to record me working on it. Right? It's not going to be like this when I go back to the app and review. At least that's my plan, is to make videos as I'm working on it, as I am coding in Cursor. What I'm going to do is, to be honest, is this is vibe coding. So I'm just going to come to Cursor here. I'm just going to say, hey, the deployments, there's a bug. It doesn't really show the numbers. Can you fix it so it shows the actual deployment? Then after that's fixed, maybe after that, I'm going to say, hey, let's just show icons, right? I probably have to come up with icons and things like that. So that's really how it is. It's going to be me telling Cursor what to do. Cursor implements the code. I do a quick review. The JavaScript stuff, I don't dive deep into it. The Python stuff, I understand it very easily, so I scan it. But JavaScript also, I scan it. So we'll see when we get there. That's going to be the third video from now. All right, I'll start to work on that. That's about it. Other than that, the API, when we go to the backend is running on port 8000 and the front end is running port 5001. So a bunch of new APIs and new endpoints. We have this content endpoint and we have this deployment endpoints. So you can get like a list of deployments. Well, this is this creates a deployment. What that means, guys, is APIs are, for example, let's say I want to create a new item, right? When I click here, the form opens up. This is all HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Everything is happening here in the browser, in the client, right? So once I fill in this form, and I hit save, this Flask app will take it to the backend of the Flask itself. Then it's going to make an API call, or this itself that might be, I actually need to double check how I implemented it. It might be making like an Ajax call to the backend, and it's making an API call, a post call for content. It's creating this, it's making this API call, right? So here is passing in all the things we put into that field, is putting it into a JSON and making a RESTful API call. So that one is, to test that out, we could test that out. We have to come up with data, but let's look at the get calls. Those are easier to test, right? So let's say we want to get what are the available statuses. We can just make this API call. I can say try it now. It doesn't take any parameters because it's just getting a list of items. If I do execute, it actually made an API call, got a 200 back, and is getting the list of available statuses. And let's say we want to get content. We want to get a list of content. I can say try it now. We can fill in all the form. How many do we want to get? Which page do we want to get? We can filter by type, all kinds of filtering ways. How do we want to sort it? So it's a typical RESTful API. We can click execute with the default values, and we actually get a list. We got content items. It's a list. Each of these JSONs or each of these dictionaries is one item that shows up as a row here. On this page, each row is what this API does. So this is pretty cool. I really enjoy this part, that FastAPI automatically out of the box gives us access to the API so we can look at it this way. So that's pretty much it. We didn't get into the code. I think I probably will create another video, or when I start to code, we will explore the code more. In terms of testing, every time when you're building something, you have to be testing it all the time, right? You have to write automated tests. So what I did is for the front end, I'm changing it so much. I didn't want to bother with writing tests yet, but that is one of my plans. I'm going to implement tests for the front end. Obviously, I'm a tester. That's kind of my thing. But for the back end though, the API is more stable. And if the API doesn't work properly, the front end doesn't work properly. And I keep making changes a lot, like the database structure changes a lot while I'm building it. So I wanted to make sure I write tests. So I did write a bunch of tests, I think 40 something or 50 something tests in here. So time to time when I make big changes, I just ask it to run the tests. The thing about Cursor, what I love about it is I can just tell it, hey, run backend tests, run the backend tests, and it looks at the failures and it will just keep fixing it. I don't have it in auto run mode, which is kind of crazy, but sometimes I do. That is, I say run it. So right now it's kind of not smart right? The first time it didn't use a virtual environment. Now it's using the virtual environment. Now it should run. And I don't know why it's installing stuff, but okay. All right. So 42 tests passed. So that's how much we have, 42 tests. I'll talk about that in detail in another time, but I want to emphasize that testing is really important when you are building stuff. So this has been just a review of the current status of this application. Okay, and another one is going to be about the carousel development, being able to create carousels. Then after that, it's going to be live coding. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video, let the algorithm know there is some good content here. Hopefully you did enjoy it, and check out my website, supersqa.com. If you want to become a QA automation engineer, if you want to learn how to build things like this and learn Python and Selenium and get a career in software engineering, check me out. I have one-on-one coaching. You can work with me directly, or I have a membership where you can just go on your own speed, really affordable, and just all of that in the description. All right, so next, watch one of those videos that shows up on the screen, and we'll talk then.